Hey, it's Alexander Creek, astrologer and psychic medium. We're going to be talking in this podcast about the astrology of the full moon in Sagittarius, happening about 2:44 in the morning Mountain Time on May 31st. So this weekend, essentially. And however, as we know, we can feel it for days afterwards. So if you're catching this this video or this podcast a little bit afterward, it's will still be relevant to you, and you can see, kind of what's happening in your life and give you some perspective on this energy. It's always a good update. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the general astrology of the full moon in Sagittarius, plus little check-in readings for all 12 rising signs. So make sure that if you enjoy my vibe, if you like this video, that you like the video, that you are subscribed, you have notifications turned on for when I post something, and that leave me a comment. Let me know how you're doing, and maybe let me know maybe how you're feeling this energy in your life, maybe what sign you are. Before we get started, I do want to let y'all know that I'm going full-time in my business as an astrologer and psychic medium. I've done it for like mostly part-time, approaching full-time for years. I've actually been doing this work since 2015. So it's a big moment. You'll be seeing and hearing from me more on YouTube. So if there's something that you'd like to learn in the psychic realm or in astrology on my channel or on this podcast, drop me a comment, email me. My email will be in the show notes or the notes on YouTube, as well as you can DM me at Dark Star Oracle on TikTok or on Instagram as well. So before we go into this astrology, there are two specials that I'm doing as a little like celebration, a little launch as I launch my full-time biz. So why did I say biz? I was reading my notes. I meant to say biz, whatever. Biz, business, whatever. So there were two special offer readings that I wanted to just go over really quick before I go into this video. So the first one is going to be just an astrology reading. So this is going to be a 50-minute reading. And the usual rate is going to be $150. It's going to go on sale for $125 all of June. We're going to go through all of the big themes in your birth chart, and we're also going to look at some timing for the year ahead. So if you've been kind of on the fence about wanting a reading, if you've never had one before, my style is pretty detail oriented. We're plucking out all of these like really hidden gems from your chart. We're not just talking about your personality. We are talking about your soul's purpose, about your hidden gifts, about maybe places in life that has been a challenge for you, and kind of how to integrate all of that together, as well as getting a little bit of a plan together for your year. So that's going to be $125 for all of June. You can go to darkstaroracle.com for that, or click the link on YouTube or in the podcast, and it will take you to my link tree where you can look through those offerings as well. I also have I'm calling it a Spirit and Stars reading. So this is a combination psychic medium reading, and then also some future timing with astrology. So sometimes in a psychic medium reading, we'll be like, okay, I feel like a new love coming in for you, right? Or like, I feel like this coming in. But sometimes in a psychic reading, exact timing is harder to nail down, and that's where astrology can come in and kind of give us a greater sense of those exact timing cycles, of knowing what time it is in your life. And these two things, the psychic medium part of me and the astrology part of me, can definitely be friends. And this will be I think, a really helpful and fun session. I just did one today and it was really awesome. And so if you need guidance in your life, we want to talk to our spirit team. We want to ask, hey, what's going on? What's our energy? What's coming up? But we also want to get that specific timing. It's a really unique offering. I don't think a lot of people can really offer this, frankly. And that is also available for $125 as well. Both of these sessions are we do on Zoom or over the phone. I record them for you. So that you are able to, go back over it later on, because recording is always very valuable. So those are going to be available at that rate for all of June. So make sure you get on that before spots fill up. So let us talk about the full moon. Okay, so the full moon in Sagittarius is happening about 9 degrees. So of course, anytime we have a full moon, it is going to be, so we're in Gemini season right now. The full moon is going to be in the sign opposite to the sun. So the sun's in Gemini, the moon is going to be in Sagittarius, hence the full moon, right? So this one is very unique. This is I think it's a really powerful, big full moon. For several reasons. The main reason is that the full moon, this is the Uranus, the planet of revolution, of disruption, of genius, innovation has now entered Gemini. I think at the end of April. And so this is our first Gemini season with Uranus firmly in Gemini for the next like 7 years. So this full moon is going to, full moons illuminate, reflect. They tend to be about a lot of activity, things coming to completion and culmination. And I really think on a collective level, we may be seeing partially what Uranus and Gemini is going to be about. And one of those things, just off the top of my head, are going to be definitely big revolutions in technology and communication, and also travel, how we get around, because Gemini is a sign of travel, it's a sign of cars, and kind of how we get from point A to point B. It's also, Gemini is about communication and how we talk to each other, language. So I think like translation to many different languages is going to be really exciting with Uranus and Gemini. I'm hoping it will bring some revolutions as far as like, helping the human race get off its addiction to oil. As we can see, gas prices are sky high due to this illegal war in Iran. And, perhaps Uranus and Gemini, by the way, is making a trine to Pluto and Aquarius, which is another very kind of tech heavy energy. So Uranus and Gemini trine Pluto and Aquarius, I think will definitely speed up, accelerate, and deepen the new technologies that are coming our way, positive, negative, definitely AI is obviously a huge part of that too. I think AI could be positive if used right. However, we have sort of unlimited access to it right now. Anyway, my boyfriend called in the middle of this, and I was like, actually, phone and do not disturb. I'll talk to you in a minute. So we have unlimited access to AI right now, which again is, so as I was saying, we have this sort of unlimited access to this rapidly accelerating technology in the form of AI, which are definitely positives. I'm definitely excited for how that maybe would improve like medical diagnoses or medical diagnostics and all of that stuff. But then again, it's like, are we really asking our phones if we should have Chipotle or Subway? Like I've seen that, like people using ChatGPT for everything. So there's also the environmental stuff. It's all kinds of stuff. So anywho, not saying it's good or bad, but we will be having a rapid acceleration in technology in the next several years, really starting this year. So this full moon, not to get too off track, this full moon in Sagittarius really feels adventurous and expansive. And this to me is about taking a big leap of faith. It is ruled by Jupiter in Cancer. So there's a very kind of optimistic quality to this full moon. And being opposed to Uranus, Uranus really brings an electric quality to this full moon. And, because Uranus is very connected to like electricity, those sudden, downloads of insight, just sort of knowing something, like sort of like a genius sort of aha moment, innovation. Uranus is very connected to that. So I think this full moon is really connected to breaking out of comfort zones for some of us. And Uranus is also, I think, also really connected to authenticity. Like this full moon can help you be like, hey, I have been kind of putting myself in like a little box, and this full moon can help you kind of break out of that box. So this full moon can bring, I think, a lot of these sort of aha, light bulb moments and sort of downloads. And there's a very fast kind of rapid speed to this full moon. This full moon to me is kind of a why the fuck not kind of full moon. And, being in Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign. Sagittarius, I often think of like horses, like wild horses, because Sagittarius is connected to like the archer. There's like a horse theme there. And so Sagittarius can often feel like have this sort of adventurous, kind of expansive quality to it, of like just seeing what happens. Let's just take like a leap of faith. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting with this full moon. There's also, I think, as well, a philosophical and spiritual energy to this full moon too, because as much as Sagittarius is sort of flying by the seat of its pants, like the gambler archetype, there's also the big picture wisdom, the meaning of life with this energy. So I feel like this full moon Sagittarius kind of has an optimistic energy to it as well. And I think that there is a lot of optimism around this full moon. So if you are thinking about expanding in some way, making like a big change, this full moon might give you the little nudge to do so. And whether or not like you're actually making an actual big change in your life, this full moon, I think, can also help shift our mindset and perspective. The reason being that the ruler of this full moon, and why I think this full moon has this optimistic, expansive energy, is not just because of Sagittarius. It's because this full moon is in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter in Cancer. So when we're looking at a full moon or a new moon, we want to look at, yes, what aspects the moon is making to the other planets, the sign it's in, but also we want to consider the guide of this full moon, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So therefore we're going to be looking to Jupiter to see, to give us more information about the information coming in with this full moon, some of the events that we might be experiencing in our lives and in the collective. And Jupiter has been in Cancer since last year. I believe since June 10th is when that went into Cancer. It's going to be in Cancer until the end of June this year. So we're wrapping up our journey with Jupiter in Cancer. And Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer. It is raised up. And so those Jupiter themes about taking a big swing, leaps of faith, having optimism, knowing that it's going to, like the feeling of like, hey, if it feels like aligned in my spirit, I might want to take that step, and knowing that the universe will kind of provide for me along the way. And Jupiter is in a water sign here as well. And I think Jupiter in Cancer is a very intuitive sign. So this is about like, this full moon is also partially about like, what is your gut telling you? Like, this can bring about some sort of expansion. I keep saying expansion. Sorry, that's just a Jupiter word. I need to like almost eliminate that from my vocabulary. But if you're making a change right now, or you feel like a call to something, it's more likely to be something that brings you maybe opportunity or again, expansion, but in a way that is not so much like get rich quick scheme or something like that. It's more bringing through change in a way that is supportive and stable. Jupiter being in a good condition helps to stabilize the energy of this full moon, because this full moon can be electric. Like it can feel like I need freedom. Like I've been putting myself in a little box for so long, it's time to kind of break out of that box. Because Jupiter is in very protective Cancer, and Jupiter is in really good condition being in the sign of Cancer. It's about maybe this electric expansion, but also in a way that can help bring long-term supportive change and not just Jupiterian excess. Because sometimes Jupiter can be prone to like spending, putting too much money on the credit card, eating too much, like spending too much at the casino. That's like the shadow side of like Sagittarius and the shadow side of Jupiter. But in this case, it does feel like a more helpful, protective Jupiter. So there is a feeling of big picture, gaining wisdom and perspective around this full moon as well. Because for most of you, it's probably not likely that we're making these huge changes under this full moon. Like that's going to depend on your chart, what's going on in your life, etc. But I think we all can kind of tap into this electric energy, this perspective shifting, this shifting of mindset. And because what I was kind of getting was, if this is not about big external changes in your life, this might be something internal, because Sagittarius and Jupiter are really good at saying like, hey, I see the lesson in what I was supposed to learn from this whole experience, and since it's like I can see like the big picture why, it's opposite sign Gemini, where the sun is in right now, is like interested in like all the little data and asking all these like little questions. Sagittarius is about like, well, here's the big lesson. Here's what you were supposed to learn from this. And so this might be, I see the lesson in that now. And with the presence of Uranus, we might be like, I see the lesson in that now, but now I can choose differently. I can make different choices. Why have I been doing the same thing all of this time? I've been stuck in this pattern. I've been stuck in this cycle. Uranus is about helping us gain some freedom and liberation. And truthfully, one of the qualities of Jupiter, especially in traditional astrology, is liberation and breaker of chains. So there is a liberating quality due to Jupiter in Cancer and to Uranus in Gemini. So I think we're going to see people making different choices, just trying something. Again, it's kind of like a fuck it, why not kind of full moon energy. A couple of different aspects I wanted to mention, as well as this full moon is squaring the north and south node. The north and south node are where eclipses happen. So I think there is maybe a little bit of an eclipsey energy, meaning maybe this full moon might disrupt the normal flow of life a little bit more. There's a little bit more of an electric charge this full moon. It can feel a little bit faded for some of you, especially those of you who are Sagittarius, but like significant Sagittarius, Pisces, Virgo, and Gemini placements. And again, quick note on those nodes, the nodes are shifting into Leo and Aquarius very soon as well. So if my mutable placements have been feeling like, hey, I've gone through a lot of change in the past couple of years, that is going to be shifting to Leo and Aquarius and the fixed signs. Lastly, this full moon is actually trining Saturn in Aries. Or Saturn in Aries is trine the full, whatever. There's a trine to Saturn, and a trine is a flowing, harmonious aspect. The full moon and Saturn are like holding hands very harmoniously. And, Saturn is, it's interesting because Saturn is like maturity and lessons and like structure and, like the kind of adult planet of, of the zodiac. Saturn in Aries, though, is a little different. Saturn is an awkward fit in Aries. But I feel like with this trine to Saturn in Aries, Saturn in Aries is kind of encouraging us maybe to do our own thing or go our own way, but also be mindful of not being too impulsive or not rushing, because Aries is like this trailblazer energy. So there is this feeling of like, hey, if we're kind of tapping into our inner trailblazer, if we're tapping into our own kind of self-autonomy and sovereignty, there is this feeling of like, this feeling of a little bit of stabilization to this very electric kind of expansive energy. Again, it's kind of giving me a feeling of like stabilizing this a little bit of like, hey, we're not just going to do something and then burn out. We're going to be doing something. We're going to expand in a way or say yes to some sort of opportunity of gaining greater wisdom or learning something or gaining perspective in a way that is supportive and long-term. So really interesting energy. I will make one more quick note. This is in the first decan of Sagittarius. Signs are divided into like 3 different kind of segments of like energy. So this is right at the end of the first decan. And this decan is very Jupiterian in the way that it's really optimistic and it says yes to opportunity. So there's a feeling of like, I would say with this full moon, embrace trying something different, take the leap. Or at the very least, this is about changing your perspective and doing things differently and choosing differently. So let's go ahead and talk about insight for each of the 12 rising signs. If you have not watched one of my videos before, I encourage you to watch your horoscope for your rising sign. You could also watch it for your sun or moon as well, but I would blend that together with the rising sign. You can also go ahead, if you're watching on YouTube, you can just click the chapter with your rising sign. If you are listening on the podcast version, wherever you're listening to that, go look at the timestamps that will be there, and they can seek to your exact timestamp. So let's go ahead with these forecasts.
Okay, so we're gonna start with the Aries rising. Aries, this full moon is landing in your 9th house. So this full moon can definitely give you like larger perspective on things. It's the 9th house is often about like, it's the house of God traditionally. So this is where we can have like oracular vision. And, maybe some of you will have like dreams that will bring like important messages through. But this full moon for you can really like is lighting up the place in your chart that has to do with like long distance travel, education, spirituality, and wisdom. Like gaining more perspective is definitely kind of like a theme here. But there may be like literal things right now for you around travel, around education, like around, these different things. And so this could also just be that you're like busier because Gemini season for you is moving through. Gemini season for you lights up your 3rd house. So that's kind of like your daily kind of coming and going, essentially like your errands, your daily communications and correspondence, your day-to-day routines, like things with siblings and neighbors and friends. So this feels like kind of a busier sort of time for you. But this full moon may kind of pull you into like wanting to know about different cultures, wanting to know about, again, maybe literal travel, maybe figurative, but this is definitely kind of opening your mind, opening your perspective under this full moon. This full moon is ruled by Jupiter in Cancer, which has been moving through your fourth house of home and family since last June of 2025. So Jupiter in Cancer at the very least has made it, at the very least has maybe helped promote stability and to bring through maybe a little bit of peace, maybe where there was, maybe where there was like discord, maybe there's a little bit more harmony. Maybe you've had some opportunities to expand your family, to expand your home, to simply just maybe just feel more at home. I would also mention that Venus is going to be moving through your fourth house of home and family also for the next few weeks here. So there's definitely an opportunity to, let me see how long Venus is here, till about mid-June. There's definitely like an opportunity under this full moon, yes, to see things in a different perspective, but there's also a feeling of like, hey, maybe we are thinking of expanding home or moving home, or there's themes of expansion or like expansion and opportunity around your physical home and property or family life as well. So Taurus rising, this full moon for you is happening in the 8th house. So this can definitely bring through some interesting things. So this full moon, I want to talk about Uranus first. Uranus is now in your 2nd house of money, time, resources, earned income. It's going to be there for around like the next 7 years. And this is a slow process, but you're like, I think maybe your relationship, maybe with how you make a living or your money, is going to slowly be changing. It's either like your spending habits, how you think about money, how you save money, how you make money, how you value your time, your values themselves, I think are going to undergo some kind of bigger shift. And keep in mind also that Uranus was in your sign since from 2018 to basically a month or two ago. Uranus, like you've definitely, I think you've been changed somehow by Uranus's energy. Maybe Taurus is a fixed earth sign. It doesn't really love change, and Uranus, the planet of change and revolution, moving through your sign. Maybe you've like been more, maybe you like learned how to be a little bit more unpredictable. Maybe you were embracing something exciting. Maybe it felt like a little chaotic at times. So just mentioning that Uranus is now out of your ascendant and into your 2nd house. When it's on your ascendant or in your 1st house, it's a little bit more noticeable, I would think, than Uranus in your 2nd house. But definitely, I would start thinking about how your relationship to money is changing. So this might be a more financial full moon for you, because this full moon happens in the 8th house. So this is shared resources. So this is credit cards, debts, loans, student loans, aid, grants, things to do with inheritance. This is also partners' money, how you share resources and money with a partner. That's definitely like you're getting some information here, or maybe a different way to see things, or perhaps there's some freedom, frankly, that's coming through like this part of your chart. Maybe it's like, hey, maybe we, I don't know, declare bankruptcy. That might be like one way of just like, boop, I'm done. But definitely, I think highlighting material resources and finances for you, how you share resources. Again, there's a liberating kind of freedom energy to this full moon. This full moon is ruled by Jupiter in Cancer in the 3rd house. So Jupiter has been moving through your 3rd house since last June. So definitely maybe you've learned new things. You've learned how to apply new skills, learned because like 3rd house is like applied skills, learning new things. It can be about like really kind of exploring like the city that you live in or different cities or places around you, because 3rd house can also be travel as well. So I just would kind of like open your mind to something new around this full moon, and it might have to do with shared material resources. I will also say the full moon in the 8th house can be deeper kind of emotional stuff, but I feel like if there's like stuck trauma or stuck like, things that you've been through that still need healing, this full moon might provide just like a different perspective on that. And you might be able to like look at that in like a new way. Gemini rising. Okay, this is definitely a full moon that you're going to feel, I think, for sure. Because some full moons, you're like, well, nothing really happened, you know? But this full moon, you can definitely see some stuff shift in partnership. You know, first of all, this is your season, Gemini rising. You know, as much as you're like, as much, you know, when we always think like, oh, I'm a Taurus or whatever, it's my season. But like if you're Gemini rising, this is also your season too, you know? So Uranus is now in your sign. You're going to really be going through like 7 or so years of really like bringing through this energy of innovation, of genius, of maybe a little unpredictability, and really kind of breaking out of just like embracing like the new and different and exciting, frankly, and this really pertains to your appearance, your identity, your core self, essentially, and like how you like project yourself into the world. Just because Gemini is your first house of like self and body and identity. So this full moon in your 7th house can be about how your relationships are shifting, maybe about how you might need more freedom in relationships, more excitement. There might be an exciting opportunity coming in for you with relationships or something developing. Whatever's happening in relationships, I feel like you'll want more freedom. I feel like you'll want more authenticity. This is kind of a full moon of like, hey, if you're like interested in like, I don't know, a little polyamory, this might be the full moon when it comes in. But I think you're going to be seeking something exciting, something a little bit more electric, and frankly, just kind of about how you engage in partnerships, whether that is romantic, business, platonic, etc. Any of those, there can be something expansive and exciting coming in with that, or just simply about seeing them differently and not being so rigid with relationships. This is ruled by Jupiter in the 2nd house of in Jupiter in Cancer, now moving through your 2nd house. So there also can be something financial with this too. I would say that is secondary. It might be, but there might be a connection with how you spend money, your resources, and also partnership and relationship. There might be something connected with those two. And then you might also want to reflect about how has your financial situation maybe improved a little bit since Jupiter went into Cancer last June as well. So, Cancer rising, let's talk about you. So, first of all, I'm going to start with Jupiter moving through Cancer. So I saw my Cancer rising friend yesterday, and I was thinking about Jupiter and Cancer moving through his rising sign, and how really for the past several months he's really had like this stable home, you know, more of this like domestic kind of grounded energy. And I really saw Jupiter as not just expansive, but as protective and nurturing, and this kind of grounded energy and so as much as Jupiter in Cancer is about expansion and saying yes to opportunity for you over the past year or so, it's also about like stabilization, protection, like nurturing. So maybe think about how you have gained new perspective, about maybe how some new opportunities in life have opened up for you, or simply about how things have been just feeling more stable, essentially, over the past year in some ways. The 1st house is also physical body too. So maybe some shifts in what you look like or your identity or how you approach things. But Jupiter is going to be moving into your 2nd house of money pretty soon, the end of June. We'll talk about that later. Just FYI, Jupiter is almost done with your rising sign. So this full moon is happening in your 6th house of work. So work, how you work routines, who you work with, as well as physical body health. Also pets can come in as a 6th house thing too. So like illuminating about maybe, you know, maybe some kind of change or some kind of completion, yes, or culmination, but also maybe illuminating about maybe how you may need more freedom or more excitement in your daily routines, in your workplace, how you take care of yourself. It's like there's this full moon is just like injecting a little bit of like, hey, if we were feeling like we want to do something else, maybe apply for like another job, or like maybe try that dance class you've been wanting to try, for exercise instead of just doing strength training like the entire time. Like Sagittarius is fire energy. It is exciting. It is life. It's like dynamic, you know? And so that I think is about bringing through some exciting dynamic energy into that part of your life, because 6th house is like stuff that we kind of have to do. We don't necessarily want to do them all the time. You know, unless you're, I don't know, like unless you love working and exercising all the time, you know. But that I think is injecting maybe some need for something different or some excitement or just seeing things in a different light in that part of your chart. So I hope that makes sense for you. Leo rising. This full moon is in your fifth house. So really like really bringing some exciting energy into the part of your chart that is about pleasure, about fun, about romance, creativity, your creative projects, your creative process, about children and pregnancy. Not that pregnancy is fun, but you get pregnancy from hopefully having fun, hopefully, right? So that full moon may bring some kind of culmination or change or completion in that part of your chart. I would think though that this is about like, let's have a little fun. You know, like if your romantic or sexual life has been feeling stale as a Leo rising, this full moon could bring something exciting or bringing something different. This could be about saying yes to the person that's not usually your type, but that might really kind of be getting you going right now. And you're like, this isn't like usually my thing, but there's just some excitement, right? And you know, that could maybe be coming from your 11th house of friends as well. Because Uranus is entering your 11th house. So like your social group and your friend group might look different by the time Uranus is done with you in like the next 7 years. Like maybe bringing some more eccentric, electric, interesting people into the groups that you associate with, different clubs and organizations, coworkers and colleagues, as well as like sort of casual friends. And Uranus here too, over the next 7 years too, it's like you're really thinking about like your hopes and wishes for the future, what you want to manifest, what your like big desires are. Those might be also really changing as well. So that also might be part of your full moon story. Last thing I'm going to mention is, you know, Jupiter, the ruler of this full moon, has been moving through your 12th house, which is really hidden. And so it's about like, you know, Jupiter in Cancer has been maybe about protection behind the scenes or opportunity behind the scenes. You're about to go through some bigger shifts, Leo rising, especially when Jupiter goes into your first house of self and identity, your persona, personality, as well as you're going to have eclipses in your relationship sector and who you are. So life is about to get a little bit more exciting. So, yeah. So I'm going to say it's Virgo rising. This full moon is happening in the 4th house for you. So you're one of those signs that I think you can definitely feel this full moon a little bit more. When you have a full moon in an angular house, it tends to be, yes, about those life themes, but it can also be about career relationships and you. You know what I mean? Like the angular houses tend to reverberate into our other main life areas. So I would say with this full moon, you know, maybe bringing through. So I'm going to say, first of all, this full moon is opposing Uranus, which is in your 10th house of career, your public reputation, you know, the people that you work for, and your visible public persona. So you're going to be going through some shifts as far as your career goes, what your public persona is, how you're seen, you know, like that's going to undergo some shifts. It's going to depend on what planets and points you might have in Gemini, but Uranus is going to be moving through there for the next 7 years. So that's first. And then this full moon is opposing that in your 4th house of home and family. So, you know, maybe bringing through some exciting things with your home. Like this could be about like, hey, I'm just like, we've always done things the same way. Let's like shift things up. Let's at least like move the furniture, you know, let's like rearrange something. This could be like, hey, we've been in this really big house. It's time to like downsize, but it's something with home and family in a way that might give you more freedom, that might help to bring something more exciting, that might help you to do something sort of differently, essentially. This could also be like, maybe we're traveling to see family too, but there's something with home, something with family that is shifting, ending, going through some transition, or maybe you just need some fresh energy here. So that is what I get for you, Virgo. Libra rising, this full moon is happening in your 3rd house. It's so funny because this is my boyfriend. My boyfriend has the moon in Sagittarius, and he's a Libra rising, so his moon is in the 3rd house. So for him, literally, this is him. He is traveling right now to he's traveling to an educational like thing. He does hair. He's going to a big hair show in Orlando. So 3rd house is can be travel. Could definitely be travel themes. Usually more short distance kind of travel. Like we're usually not going to like a faraway place. And also third house can be education and learning new skills. Also, there's a networking feeling here too of like talking to people and communication and correspondence. It's like a busier full moon for you guys, Libra rising. There also could be stuff, maybe something maybe something coming up with like a sibling or a close friend or someone in your like extended family might have like some exciting news. I do kind of want, and and whatever's going on in those third house spaces for you, it could be also transportation. It's usually more exciting. It's usually dynamic. It's like bringing an exciting, different energy into your life. And I also want to point your attention to as well, it is opposing Uranus, which is now in your ninth house. The ninth house has to do with higher education, long distance travel, spirituality, wisdom, and big picture things. So for a lot of you, like this could be like, hey, I never thought about going back to school, but I'm going to go back to school. Or I'm going to go get my certification or degree in like mushroom facilitating or, like something interesting and different connected to education and spirituality, really waking you up, like really bringing through like an exciting energy. Like I never thought I wanted to do that, but maybe now I do. Like this is like, I've always kind of wanted to like go to some faraway place like China, but Uranus and Gemini might all of a sudden bring that opportunity to you. This could also be publishing, writing, teaching as well. So those themes might be also activated under this full moon for you. This full moon is also ruled by Jupiter in Cancer, which has been moving through your 10th house of career and public reputation since last June. So there's might be something connected to career for you that might make you a little bit more visible. That's about accomplishments and opportunity. Take these, I would definitely maybe seize the moment under this full moon, because I think you'll seem very likable. You're going to be seeing like a nice light under this full moon with career stuff, maybe by superiors or people that you work with, because also Venus is here, the planet of love and beauty. And this might be like a good networking time for you, or this might be a time in general over the next several days or weeks to be like, yeah, I'm going to ask for that. I'm going to go for like a higher position. I'm going to apply for a promotion. I'm going to or ask for a raise or something like that. I could also see that for you. Scorpio rising. This full moon is happening in the second house of money, of earned income. So you might be seeking a different, more exciting way to make money. Second house is your resources, your time, your earned income, your labor also too, I think. That's a sixth house thing too, but this could also be labor. So it's like, hey, if you've been doing this, like, okay, frankly, I'm a Scorpio rising. I'm kind of like, hey, I'm going to go full-time in my business. I'm sick of having a job, So, frankly, I've been doing it for 10 plus years. So like, I'm ready. But, this is like, Scorpio rising, you're a fixed sign. Never forget that you're a fixed sign. You like things a certain way. You have a lot in common with Taurus, right? So, it likes to kind of have some predictability in certain things. So, but with this full moon, it's sort of like taking a chance, taking a leap. This could be doing something different with how you make money. There could just be something important kind of financial coming up. Maybe you land a big contract, maybe you sell something under this full moon. And then also don't forget as well that Uranus, that planet of revolution and innovation and freedom, is moving into Gemini, or it has moved into Gemini in April. And that's in your 8th house of shared resources, of, how you join forces with someone energetically and financially. So you might be able to find more freedom, frankly, in like joining forces with someone. Or, you might be like, hey, I've always had these like different credit cards. Like I'm going to kind of shift how I do things, or I'm shifting something with my insurance, or like, maybe you all of a sudden inherit money. That's very possible with a Uranus in the 8th house kind of transit. So yeah, for you, Scorpio rising, something financial under this full moon. It may not be a huge thing, so it might not be life changing, but it could be like, yeah, well, I don't know, I'm gonna go spend $50 at the casino and see what happens. This full moon is also ruled by Jupiter in Cancer, moving through your 9th house. You've certainly gained some new perspective. Maybe you've been teaching, maybe you've been learning new things around spirituality, wisdom, higher education, maybe opportunities to travel since last June. So there's something about like seeing the bigger lesson, the bigger picture, embracing teaching, embracing seeing a different perspective. Ninth house can also be divinity too, like just a connection to source and God. So maybe you've just felt more of that. And that will also be present under this full moon in some way as well. It's like, what did you learn? Sagittarius rising, this full moon for you, not a big deal at all. Just kidding. It's in your Sagittarius rising. So this full moon is in your sign. So, okay, let's talk. So first of all, let's actually mention the fact that Gemini season is often about relationships for you, your romantic partnerships, business partners, platonic, otherwise. Uranus has entered your 7th house of Gemini. And Uranus is, this innovation, this electricity, doing things differently, breaking out of your comfort zone, that kind of thing. So definitely bringing some excitement and new things into relationships for you. If things have gotten stale, baby, like Uranus would be like, I am bored. Let's do something else. Let's make some changes around here. This is about collaborating in ways that are new, that are unique and exciting, and shifting those relationships in your life to some degree. Granted, that is over a 7-year period. It's going to take some time, depends where your specific descendant is in your chart, or if you have planets or other points there. So this full moon, while this is about relationships for you, it is about also like, hey, I might need more freedom in my life. I might need something more exciting. And this is also maybe some kind of chapter turning kind of energy for you of like, hey, on from one chapter into the next, because this is a full moon after all. This can be endings and culminations and changes, right? And I think that you'll feel like this is just, I've maybe like looking at like everything I've learned in the past and like, where am I ready to go? But I feel like this is sort of like, I just feel like you're going to be asked for either to really shift your perspective on things and choose something different, or this could just be like, hey, Sagittarius, time to take a leap, baby. You know what I mean? Like, let's at least, if not like a really big life change, let's take a little trip. Let's do something fun. Let's take a class in something that we're interested in. Like Sagittarius, you need to like live your fucking life under this full moon, and so take a little bit of a chance, make a little bit of a leap, or at least bring in some adventure or something exciting under this full moon. I think you're going to kind of be itching for something like a little bit different and to bring some passion in, because you are a fire rising sign after all. And so Sagittarius rising also, this full moon is ruled by Jupiter in Cancer, which has been moving through your 8th house of shared financial material resources since last June. So perhaps like there's been some protection or stability in things connected to loans or credit cards or finances or your client's money if you have a business or you're self-employed. There also might be a connection to like, hey, with Venus here too, this is not a bad time to maybe refinance, to apply for a loan, to apply for a grant, to apply for funding or something connected to money that is not yours really, but that you have access to, that is available to you. And also randomly too, if you're like, hey, I want to study mediumship a little bit or get into the occult, learn tarot or something that's like a little taboo but connected to like the other side, also might be a good time to do that too, because 8th house has those kind of connections as well. So Sagittarius, that is you. Capricorn rising, the full moon for you is in the 12th house. So definitely like, this is an interesting one for you. First of all, I want to mention Uranus. So Uranus has moved into Gemini, which is your 6th house. And it'll be there for about 7 years. 6th house is physical body health, how you exercise, work out, wellness, how you take care of yourself, physical health, as well as how you work, what you do for work, who you work with, work routines, and pets. And so Uranus moving into this part of your chart, you might be thinking about like feeling a little bit restless, like, hey, I've always worked in an office. I want to work from home. I want more freedom, or you might be feeling like a little restless and wanting to change something about your situation. It might be that maybe your work situation is like a little like, hey, there's changes here. I don't really want these changes, but they're happening. So I'd say with work stuff, you're going to want more freedom, and then also like maybe a need for it to be a little bit more flexible. So that being said, the full moon is in your 12th house. The 12th house is like the most hidden part, one of the most hidden parts of the chart. The 12th house is about like, it has like these rest, retreat, mental health themes, things in the background, our shadow, and also the ways that we self-sabotage ourselves. And also can Since this is a full moon, it's going to illuminate something about that. So this could be like illuminating maybe hidden subconscious patterns for you about like, why am I stuck in this fucking thing? Like, why do I always do this? It's like the full moon is going to kind of illuminate why that is, as well as give you an opportunity to kind of shift your perspective and shift your thinking. And or this may be some exciting new change or opportunity. It's kind of happening more in the background. It's a little bit more hidden. It's not as visible. And this can also, again, this is an illuminating energy. It reveals things. So it can reveal things that are previously hidden. But something about it might feel exciting. Something about it might give you more freedom or give the opportunity to like stop. Like this might be like, hey, why do I always have to think I have to work 40 hours a week to make money? Maybe I'm going to do something that's not about just my time. Maybe I'm sick of always doing the same exercise routine. This is like, why don't I focus on something else instead? Like, it's just going to illuminate something hidden to you. There also could be a relationship connection as well. Jupiter is in Cancer. It rules the full moon. It's been moving through your 7th house of partnership since last June. Maybe this might be a really nice time to be cultivating your relationships. It may not even be about meeting someone new, about cultivating and finding the blessings in your relationships and in your partnerships, or really seeing like the beauty in those things, because Venus is with Jupiter right now. So seeing the beauty and seeing the love in your partnerships, really nurturing and cultivating that. There's something connected to this full moon about that. And who knows? That could also be someone new as well. Aquarius rising, the full moon is in your 11th house. But let's start with Uranus and Gemini. So Uranus and Gemini moved into your 5th house. Actually, it's funny. I just read for an Aquarius rising client this morning, and this fits perfectly. So Uranus moved into your 5th house end of April. 5th house is creativity, romance, creative projects, sexuality, pregnancy and children, your passions, what you do for fun. And Uranus is being like, hey, maybe it's time we revisit some of these things, or like, why do we do things? Is it just like by rote, rudimentary, whatever? It's wanting to maybe bring some innovation, excitement, and more freedom into those areas of your life. And maybe that's saying like, hey, like if that's your children, it could be like, hey, maybe they're going through some like bigger changes. Reminder that this is a 7-year transit. It depends on which planets or points you have maybe in your 5th house of Gemini. So that is a gradual journey. But usually when there's a planet that changes signs, you can start to feel that reverberation in your life a little bit. So the full moon is in Sagittarius. It's happening in your 11th house. So this might like bring more perspective on like, hey, like why not chase the big goal, like the big dream? The 11th house is the house of your hopes, wishes, and dreams for the future. So this might be like seeing a bit like a bigger, more exciting picture for your life. And again, this full moon brings in something different, something exciting, expansive, all of those things. So this could also be, some sort of completion, culmination energy too. So maybe things with like a social group or like a friend, maybe there's some sort of exciting new connections there, or maybe that we just have a lot of like increased activity among friends or in our social groups or something like that. It might be just more like a busy kind of social life kind of full moon for you. Maybe not too significant, but maybe you're like, I was just like really busy this weekend. Like I went to see a show and did something fun and just did something kind of unexpected, with like a friend or like a group of people. It might be just very much that for you. Keep in mind, your relationship life is going to expand. I think probably relatively dramatically, starting this summer when Jupiter moves into your relationship sector of your chart. We start having eclipses there in Leo. Keep that in mind as I'm like, interesting. So this is ruled by Jupiter in Cancer in the 6th house. Jupiter and Cancer in your 6th house. So perhaps there's something coming up with work or how you take care of yourself or health or your job. Maybe you're feeling some sort of expansion there, or maybe just like a need for more freedom and expansion there as well. So there could be, don't sleep on Jupiter being in this part of your chart for the next month or so. If you're wanting a change in work, a change in your health and wellness and how you take care of yourself, apply for the job, change up something in that part of your chart. Because you also have Venus there right now as well, which is like love and beauty and like attraction. So good if you're like, I'm wanting like to do something different, Pisces, we got the full moon for you is in your 10th house of career. So Definitely could be just career could feel busier. There could be some sort of exciting like connection that you make or someone that you meet that maybe is helpful to you in your career. Or maybe there's just like, maybe you're feeling like, hey, it's time for something to end. I'm a little bored. I'm ready for something new. I'm like ready for like a shift here. There could be a very literal change with like a boss or a client or someone in your career. You could feel just like really kind of visible in career. If you're self-employed, if you do a lot on social media, if you're like an influencer a little bit, this weekend would be a good time to post something off the cuff, experimental, spontaneous, just try something. Because Sagittarius is about just like, again, why the fuck not? Let's just see what happens. This is kind of like, I feel like I'm interested to see like who goes viral this weekend, frankly. So definitely it's like activating career themes for you. Given that it is an angular house, it does kind of affect everything else. So like who you are, your relationships, more importantly, home and family. Gemini season as often can bring up home and family themes for you. Uranus, the planet of revolution, freedom, and excitement, has moved into the sign of Gemini. At the end of April, will be here for about 7 years, so pretty exciting. And so could definitely bring some changes to the home front for you. Maybe you've been feeling that already. Maybe you feel like you need more space. Maybe it's time to downsize. Maybe your family is you're starting to see them going through some kind of bigger changes. Or perhaps you're like, well, I've been single all my life and all of a sudden I want to have a baby. What the hell is that about? Like that could be Uranus. So, there's some sort of interplay with the career life and home and family under this full moon. So and also maybe how you define family. Maybe it's Uranus. Uranus is sort of like like maybe I don't need a partner to have a baby. Maybe I'm gonna get a sperm donor. Maybe it's IVF. Those are fifth house topics. I will say pregnancy and children, but it's kind of giving you examples of like Uranus is just like innovation, freedom, liberation, and you're gonna connect that back to family. Maybe that's, hey, if your family has been abusive to you, maybe that's about you going no contact or being like, I'm going to leave y'all. I'm going to leave the hometown that I've always been in and make these big changes about where I live. Because Uranus can be about, I'm moving, bitch. I'm moving out of my home. I'm moving out of where I grew up, my locality, family, something like that. Uranus is bringing this sort of exciting change in. Granted, that is over 7 years, but this full moon can kind of activate those themes because this full moon is opposing Uranus. So what's happening in home and family is sort of like affecting the career path. I will mention this full moon is ruled by Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter has been moving through your fifth house of creativity, creative passion, sexuality, romance, pleasure, children, pregnancy. So with Venus here, if you have a sweetie, if you have a sweetheart, really good time to do something fun together, to come together, as it were. And also like creativity, like a crafting project, an art project. Like there's a lot of fertile energy for that under this full moon, and it might spark something in that part of your chart as well. So that's all she wrote. Thanks again for watching this video or listening to this podcast. Thank you so much. Again, if you want to work with me, dogstaroracle.com. I would love to do a reading for you. And so I'll talk to you guys soon. See you later. Happy full moon.